thank you guys for joining us today for the Office 365 for remote workers. And really today what we're going to try and do, and I'm going to do this pretty quickly, is we're really going to cover for you guys the concepts behind how to work with remote workers. Obviously, I can't explain to you guys step by step how to connect all of your people. All right? So instead what we're going to do here is we're going to go in and just kind of give you an overview and ideas of what are the best processes for you to work with. So we are XenTech consultants. We're a Microsoft Cloud Solutions provider. We specialize in working with AEC firms, small, medium-sized businesses, and in particular in working with them to develop and implement plans for Office 365. And in most cases, really what we work a lot with are how to do that for your remote workers. Okay? So technology in the AEC world is changing really, really quickly. You know, that traditional in-house process of, you know, you work, even when I started working, when I first joined the AEC world, you know, we had computers. I'm not quite that old, but you know, the idea of coming into work every morning at 8 or 9 o'clock and you had your computer and you sat at your desk and you did your work and you went home at the end of the day. You know, if you traveled, well, you traveled and you were kind of offline other than maybe by phone. You know, they could catch cell phone for you and you can have a phone call, but that was pretty much it. Right? That's gone. Nowadays, it's a requirement in this industry to be able to work and share files and share information in real time, 24/7. Right? So why does that matter to you, right, as an AEC firm? So things you need to understand and know about the reality of the modern AEC firm. The first thing is that we are spending, more than just 2 years ago, we are spending 50% more time. That's every one of us. 50% more time in collaborative activities. What do we mean by that? We mean Skype, file sharing, you know, collaborative design reviews, you know, Outlook meetings, right? SharePoints, presentations, things like this where you've got multiple people interacting on the same information at the same time from different locations. Right? So that's a big reason why handling your remote workers is going to become really important, because when we get to the second point here, right, which is that as of right now, 37% of your workforce is mobile. And what they mean by that, 37% of the people in the AEC community never go to the office. That's not people who are in and out. Sometimes that is total. They work full-time on the road, on the job site, traveling from client to client. Right? And they estimate that within the next 2 years, that's going to climb to between 43 and 45% of all the AEC workforce who are constantly on the move. So being able to access your company information, talk to them, work with them, have the ability to collaborate in real time, to be able to have Skype communications, shared meetings, share calendars and desktops and so on, is vital to their success as a remote worker. Okay? And the other thing that's really important for you guys to understand when it comes to dealing with your remote workers is security. It's a really important aspect of it. It's probably the one area that gives people the most pause. And it's one of those things I love to point out as a major benefit of working with Office 365 is that all the security concerns, all the controls that most of us can't afford to put in place are handled by Microsoft on their end. You don't have to worry about it. You get up to the minute, real-time, full-blown security that most of us could never afford to handle on ourselves, which is why you get this number, this 43%. Right? Cyber criminals focus on small companies for that very reason. We can't afford, you know, a staff of 20 IT guys to do nothing but update and patch and secure our systems. Right? So getting your people and your staff integrated into Office 365 where that's being handled by Microsoft directly saves you a lot of money and a lot of sleepless nights. Okay? So let's get into talking about your remote workers and where they are and what they're doing. So where are they working? Well, the truth of the matter is, in this day and age, they're everywhere. Right? There's just no way of telling where they are or what they're doing. Like I said, this is no longer the industry of even just maybe 10, 12 years ago. We're no longer a 9-to-5 working in the office industry. Okay? All workers have different schedules. Some come in at 7, some start at 6, some start at 9. Right? We work in multiple time zones. Right? One of the things, after the big construction bust of the last decade, there was just a lot of merging of different industries, right? We went from being straight architectural firms to being design build firms, which meant we had to merge with other companies to bring on additional capabilities. And that means that in a lot of times we are disparate. We've got 2 offices in New Jersey and 1 in California, and we got 1 in Utah. We're all over the place, right? Globally sometimes if you're big enough. And the truth of the matter is things like travel, right? When you're traveling, you're waiting for a plane, or you're on a bus, or you're just waiting for a car to pick you up, whatever it may be, that's no longer considered downtime, right? Your clients, your boss, everybody you work with, they expect to have access to you, and they expect you to respond and deal with the workload that you have really 24/7. Obviously, we all have off time, and I'm not recommending that we take that away from anybody. But at the end of the day, right, none of us just work in that 9-to-5 office anymore. It's vital to make sure that all of your remote workers can be an active part of your day-to-day operations, right? And at the end of the day, what are we talking about? We're talking about the ability for anybody who's not working in the office full-time to be able to access using tablets, laptops, smartphones, any other device that they have, and to be able to use multiple devices, right? So that's nice. You've been able to do that for a while. But the real benefit here when we talk about Office 365 is that it's designed around that very concept. It was designed from the ground up to help you be in constant communication and contact with all of your workers no matter where they are, and share all of your data from a single central location that everyone can access, right? So let's talk real quick about the keys to success for your remote workers. Well, the first thing is accessibility, okay? Your people have to be able to access your files and your data and your personnel from anywhere at any time, right? Not just your own in-house people, but they also need to talk to your clients. They need to access vendors and subcontractors. There's just this constant requirement for communication and accessibility that they need. It also ties into the concept of work-life balance, and this is a different generation than the one I grew up in. They expect the ability to work from home or be able to work in the way they want from the places they want, sitting in Starbucks with their earphones in, listening to music. It's a whole different world, right? But a recent study by the U.S. government reports that over 50% of workers would be willing to take a pay cut of 6% or more just to be able to work remotely 1 day a week, right? This is a different generation with different needs, and that accessibility is a big part of that. But when you get into dealing with actual remote workers, you got those guys, like I said, who are out on the job site doing the work, doing the inspections, the punch lists, whatever you have going on. They need to be able to access your documents instantly, right? The old idea of, hey, I'm going to be on the site tomorrow, and I'm going to download all the documents I need onto my laptop, and then I can update and make modifications or changes, and I'll either email them in later on, or I'll copy them the next time I'm in the office. That doesn't work anymore, right? Like I said, most of these guys are never coming to the office. And while email works, it's really not good. You're dealing with large files. Files can get caught in spam filters, lost. They forgot to email them. They emailed the wrong version. Okay? There's just a lot of potential data and information loss in there when you're dealing with that. The idea is that with Office 365, you're going to use a central cloud-hosted secure environment where all of your documents exist, not just for your remote people, but for your entire company, right? And even for clients that you want to give access to, or partners you want to give access to. Everything for your whole company exists in one spot that is accessible to everyone from the cloud. And I know that word scares some folks, but at the end of the day, Microsoft is securing it and giving you a financially backed guarantee, right? So it is far more secure than anything you could probably ever afford to put inside your own firewall on your own servers, right? And that's what I said. The next point here is that you get into the concepts of security when you're dealing with a remote worker, right? So what happens when all right, so they've got their smartphone and they've been downloading company information onto their smartphone, right? The great thing is when you're dealing with Office 365, you can actually have it segment their personal smartphone, meaning that their personal information, because it's their phone, it belongs to your worker, right? They bought it themselves. their personal information is kept in one half of the phone. The other half of the phone gets locked down for corporate information. So God forbid they jump in the back of a taxi at the end of a busy day, right, and they leave their phone in there. It's not a problem for you. All you have to do is with a single button, you can actually wipe all the corporate information from your employee's phone or their tablet or their laptop or whatever it may be. That's the level of security you can get and the control that you get with Office 365. And that's really important for your remote workers, right? Because you do not want your private corporate information floating out there for anybody. All right? So again, what systems should they use? Well, that's pretty obvious. We're talking about Microsoft Office 365 today. Right? And like I said, the big key takeaway with that, and the reason why I said it, two big reasons. Number one, Office 365 was designed from the ground up, right, to do exactly what we're talking about. Help you work remotely and collaboratively at all times. Office 365 has all the basic office structure, the old office tools, right, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, as part of it, but it's really designed around more in the terms of OneDrive and SharePoint and collaborative activity. And it's got dozens and dozens of apps that are tied to it, and every one of them are all linked together in this collaborative structure. So when you get to things like Teams and Skype and SharePoint and Delve, it's all about helping your people see what everybody else is working on, share what everybody else is working on, and pull the business intelligence out of all of that, whether they're in the field or in the office. Okay? So that's the first thing. The other thing that's vitally important, that, especially with remote workers, that I want everybody to understand is that, excuse me, you know, it used to be, sorry, it used to be that everyone who had a device, right? So you had a laptop and a desktop and a smartphone. If you wanted to install Office or any other program, you'd have to buy 3 licenses, one for each of those devices. Right? And when you start dealing with remote workers, like I said, when 50% of your workforce is out, okay, they're going to have at least 2 devices, right? Probably you want to keep a system in the office and then whatever they're carrying with them, whether it's a laptop or a tablet. So now you've just doubled your costs, right? Well, Office 365 fixed that. Office 365, for every single license that you hold, you can install that license for that user. So let's take a John. We'll make John our project manager. He's always in the field. John has a laptop. John has a desktop in the office for the few times he does come in. Right? He's got a tablet that he uses 90% of the time, and he also has a smartphone. He's got 4 devices. All I have to do is buy 1 license of Office 365 for John. He can then install any of the Microsoft Office 365 tools that he wants on each and every one of those. No additional licenses needed. It's a one-time shot for up to 5 devices. That's huge. And like I said, it's key when you're dealing with those remote workers to allow them to use all of those different devices wherever and however they need them, depending on where they are. Right? So that's a definite major plus. The other thing that kind of goes along with that, excuse me, and the nice thing about the Office 365 is that it really is only about $20 a month per user. So you're getting those 5 licenses for $20 a month. That's pretty good, right? So, sorry. See, when I messed up, I talked already. I was already talking for 10 minutes, and now my throat's getting dry. So, you know, when you get in, you start working with this concept of the collaboration and the ability to have your remote workers connect. It's more than just file sharing, and that's a huge component of it, right? But it also gives them the ability to do things like Word and Excel and PowerPoint and Outlook without actually having to install those on their devices. So let's go back to John as our example. Right? John's got a tablet. It's not the most expensive tablet in the world, and it doesn't have a lot of memory, and maybe he doesn't want to install Excel onto his tablet. It's too much trouble. He can't figure out how to do it. He's not that IT conversant. Fine. All of the tools in Office 365 were designed and work completely in a browser-based environment, meaning you don't need to install that locally. All you have to do is open up any browser. It doesn't matter which one he wants to use. Okay? He can even open from iPads and go through Safari on his iPad and connect to Office 365, and it opens up Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook all directly in his browser. Same thing with any other system that he might sit down at. Maybe he's on vacation. He went to Bermuda. and there's a corporate emergency, you need him to do something, but he didn't bring his laptop. Okay, he goes to the local library in Bermuda, sits down, logs into their public computer, and he logs into Office 365, and he can access your information there using his Office 365 account. Right? That's the kind of functionality that you need to make sure that all your business needs are being addressed regularly. And that's what it says when you're bringing everything in your team into one place and connecting with customers, coworkers, suppliers. Right? You can share everything all in one shot. Right? You can even get to the point where you're structuring meetings and calendar invitations and so on in team structure. So you can actually build with Office 365 named teams, project design teams. These 7 people are working this job. And every time an email comes up, I can distribute it to all 7 people without doing anything. That's the kind of collaboration you're looking at and working with Office 365, right? So again, it's about working anywhere at any time from any place, right? And like you say, it doesn't matter if you're in the factory, it doesn't matter if you're out on the job site, or traveling to Mumbai, wherever you happen to be, and whatever device you have. With Office 365, it's a simple login to Office 365, and you have access to that shared pool of information, that central, whether you're using SharePoint Online or OneDrive for Business. There are a couple of different ways to do it. You can access those files in real time, and you can actually even collaborate on them at the same time through Office 365, meaning if you want to open up a Word document, right, myself and John, who's out at the field site, and all the other guys who are on this call today, we all open up that document. We can all be making modifications and changes and recommendations and all editing the same file at the same time if that's what we need to do. Not a problem. We can do that. Now, one of the other things that's really, really important is this concept over here, this no connection issue. That always makes people worry about remote workers. What do you do when you don't have connection? Well, the beautiful thing about working in the Office 365 environment is you do not have the need to ever download documents locally, because it does what's called real-time synchronization, meaning that all the files that are in your central server, okay, not necessarily all of them, but any of the ones that you think are important, you just synchronize those to your local machine. You do that once, right? Not per project, but I mean once overall, one time. You just set up a link between the server and your local machines, and then it just copies constantly in the background, back and forth. As you save files, they get saved up to the server, right? As somebody else modifies a file on the server, it's automatically copied down to your local machine. And the beauty of that is that when you lose internet connection, and that happens, right, when you're out on the site or traveling wherever you are, you don't always have connection. You don't have internet connection, it's not a problem, because you still got the most recent copy of the files locally. And all you do is open them and work on them just like you normally would. You may not even know you lost internet connection. Doesn't matter. Because as soon as you walk back into the trailer and it reconnects to the router and the Wi-Fi and the construction trailer, it instantly updates what you made the changes of while you were offline right back up to the server. And that's the idea of that continuous cloud-based interactivity and making sure that your field workers are able to communicate in real time with real information. Right? That's huge. Okay? And it really does that, making use of the SharePoint Online, right? Which is it's a giant sharing, seamless collaboration. It takes the place of your in-house servers. And the great thing about it is that it comes with both personal and corporate storage, so that not only do you get unlimited storage for your company, you can host massive amounts of data out here. So like I said, I've got a number of clients who, and we do it here at XenTech ourselves. It's our primary server. Everything we do using the SharePoint Online system. Everything is cloud-based. We can access it from wherever we are in the world. We never have to worry about it. It's always updated and backed up and synchronized in real time. Right? And you also, for each user, you get a personal storage space, so they can keep things that are only important to them, their own personal calculation sheets, their time sheets, maybe corporate information I got from HR. It's a restricted area just for their data, and they get 1 terabyte of data that they can use for their own personal use. Right? That's huge. It's an immense amount of storage that they can access from anywhere. Okay? Right? And again, it ties in, all of this is being fully secured, patched, and updated in real time by Microsoft, and it auto syncs if you lose connectivity. So that's the underlying setup. Right? And like I said, that concept of always on security, right? whether it's guys are out in the field and you don't know where they're connecting to or which Wi-Fi they're connecting to, and maybe it's not secure. It's never going to matter because you can actually have Office 365 pushing security updates to all those devices in real time, right? All you have to do is enable a switch and it will take care of it, right? So they get all the security, that ability to, like I said, segregate between personal and corporate data, and the ability to wipe corporate data if and when this should be lost or stolen or something else happens, okay? So that's a huge thing. And at the other end of this, right, when you get into dealing with all of this, the beauty of Microsoft Office 365 is it really makes your life and your IT guys' lives a lot easier because it's a very simple interface, right? With Office 365, all of these apps and all of these different tools and Skype and Yammer and Outlook and Word and SharePoint, it's one login. Right? It's a simple single login for all your devices, no matter where you are or what you're doing, and it's totally secure. You have the ability to just throw on new employees, move licenses of one product to another product. So if someone leaves, you can shift their licenses to another employee. If you grow exponentially, you got a huge amount of work and you need to add 10 licenses, all you do is you call XenTech and you say, hey Jim, I need 10 more licenses. I'll have them up and running for you inside of 20 minutes. Not a problem. I just turn them on. Right? And then you just get charged for those licenses monthly after that. If at any point you come back and go, hey, wow, we hit a bad spot and we had to lay off 35 guys, not a problem. I will take 35 licenses off and you will stop paying for them. Okay? It's that quick. It's that easy. And you have total control over who has access. You can see who's using what apps, who's never touched an app. Right? It's a great interface for your IT guys on the far end. Okay? So that's how you can structure and work with your remote workers using Office 365. That's the kind of capability that you should be looking at. And like I said, while I can't tell you guys exactly how to structure that and build it in place for your staff without some consulting time to come in and talk to you about how you're doing it and how we can help you implement that, I think this gives you a good idea of what you can be doing and what I really believe you should be doing in order to make your guys' life easier. My email is up here if you guys have any questions, thoughts, comments, or concerns, or if there's anything at all we can do to help you guys with your remote worker and your Office 365 implementations, or if you're looking to purchase or upgrade or need some training on any of your Microsoft products, we are here and available to help. And I want to thank you guys for spending the time with us today, and I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon. Thanks again.